as it is May 16th, Wednesday, 2018, with ultra-right-wing, anti-Semitic, anti-black, anti-Mormon, Islamophobic pastors Robert Jeffress and pastors J.Hagee both being in the news for having been evidently the invited Christian American spokespersons at the opening of the new American embassy in Jerusalem in Israel yesterday. I couldn't help but reflect on all of the incendiary, racist, and anti-Semitic comments both have made, which were reported about in one article and other news articles in newspapers around the United States and elsewhere. In the New York Times, May 15th issue yesterday, there was an article about both of these racist anti-Semites and titled, "Despite Remarks on Jews, Pastors Bless an Embassy." So I had penned a letter to the editor that was published in the late JT News, Voice of Jewish Washington, a newspaper for Jewish residents of Washington State, previously called the Jewish Transcript. The paper was shuttered by the Seattle Jewish Federation in 2015. And the letter I wrote was titled On Pastor Hagee, and it was published June 20th, 2007. I'm going to read that letter, the text of that letter as it's published now. While it is excellent that Pastor Hagee is seeking redemption from Jews in return for his Christian community's support of Israel, and many Jewish supporters of Israel hope Hagee and his Christian followers are supportive of Palestine as well, for there can be no secure, prosperous, nor safe Israel without a comprehensive, just, and speedy solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. There is another divide, more pressing than Christian support of Israel, tearing at the fabric of Christian-Jewish rapprochement. Pastor Hagee has failed to even acknowledge it, much less tackle it by publicly addressing it and taking a just stand on it. In parentheses, United by Faith for the Jewish State, referring to an article published in the June 22nd issue of that year, 2007, page 4. In the book, Harry James Kargas in Conversation with Elie Wiesel, published by Polis Press, 1975, naturalized American Holocaust survivor and Nobel Peace Prize winner Elie Wiesel stated, quote, "I think Jews must say first certain words which hurt Christians. That Auschwitz would not have been possible without Christianity, the fact that Hitler was never excommunicated, that over 20% of the SS killers were practicing Christians, the fact that Pius XII never spoke up means that Christianity's role, or the Christian Church's role, both Protestant and Catholic, was so dominant in the fact that so many Jews could have been killed. All that has to be said," end of quote. And then, new quote, I continued from Wiesel's words in the book. "Once this has been articulated, I think there can be a meeting ground, provided one does not try to convert the other. Conversion is not a solution. If the Christians give up their dream to convert Israel, Israel never tried to convert the church, then I'm sure we can find common ground," end of quote. The impact of meaning of Wiesel's words remain as true today as when they were first published 32 years ago. My New World Dictionary of the English language defines redemption as, quote, "release from sin." If Christian monetary support of Israel is a spiritual release from sin, then public and forceful Christian renunciation by Christian ministers of the conversion campaigns targeting Jewish children, youth, young adults, and adults of all ages must also be equally aired. When that theologically overdue agenda is achieved, Christians will not only have a spiritual redemption for the historical crimes of 2,000 years of Christian hatred and violence against Jews, they will have redemption of actualization.
while it is expected that Reverend Hagee will receive death threats from those Christians who remain steadfast in the belief that Christianity is a theologically superior religion to followers of other faiths, only Hagee himself can make the decision to choose a path of post-proselytizing Christian, or remain with the path he currently endorses. As a hate, Shoah, and genocide educator, I've told Christian ministers at churches where I've guest taught that Christians surely have enough social service issues among Christians that warrant paid and volunteered staff time, money, and concern without having to squander those people resources along with tens of millions of dollars spent annually to convert American Jews. Yet Jews are losing this battle even as American Jewish synagogue construction and membership increases. Each year we have new news reports on how many new so-called Messianic synagogues have opened their doors in the United States. Even Israel has them. If Reverend Hagee is serious about supporting Israel, no time is sooner than his next audience of Christian supporters of Israel for him to publicly renounce conversion campaigning. Will he meet the challenge? If yes, his publicly stated support for Israel will achieve meaningful credibility. If not, the United Jewish Community should decline those monies raised and donated for Jewish causes. As much as he wants to, he can't have it both ways. So, again, that was published in 2007 in the JT News Voice of Jewish Washington in Seattle, Washington. And I find it incredibly ironic that Pastor Hagee and Pastor Jeffress, both of whom are viewed as extremists, again, anti-Semites, Islamophobes, and with their endorsement and friendships, particularly Jeffress with collegiality with President Bush, who is an unrepentant racist who has refused to apologize for the Ku Klux Klan-worthy years of his racist birther campaign. I find it immensely ironic that that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and the religious right and the non-religious right in Israel would applaud these two men whose main missions include converting all Jews. And as such, with the Christians United for Israel, that Hagee is very much a partner of. They support the Jews for Jesus hate organization, and it's all of which is antithetical to Jewish interests both in the diaspora and in Israel of Jewish worship and religious life and Jewish life in general. That's it.